Good morning. We got a little situation here in Rubicon, Wisconsin, just out farm fields. Right around this time of year, it's about middle of September or so. A lot of bee activity, a lot of stinging insect activity in general, and we have a client that has a little bit of a stinging insect issue at the back of one of their window wells. Basically, what it looks like what's going on here is a window was cracked and broken, allowing access to a fair amount of yellow jackets here. Upon arrival, we already kind of took a look from the inside, and the client has not been seeing anything inside the house. The sill plates, the window itself, everything is very, very well sealed off, so I'm not seeing any sort of entrance or exit point from the outside of the house, or I'm sorry, from the inside of the house. This looks bigger than it actually is. It's just because it's flattened out completely. So basically what's going on is you have the outside window and the inside window. So you have maybe a gap of, however much that gap is, 2 inches or so. And that's pretty much where they are setting up. This is a little unusual. I've seen a lot of things similar to this where they got into basements and got into like the actual open unsealed cinder block where they were getting underneath the gaps of the window, and this is not the case. Right, yeah, so I'm a little apprehensive of exactly how I want to go about doing this, seeing as I couldn't find an emergency exit. A lot of times with yellow jacket nests, there's an emergency exit. They go in one hole, and if the nest is threatened somehow, they kind of make an escape route. My worry is that I treat the one hole and that the emergency exit is somehow on the inside of the house. But when we first got here, we took a look, and the client has not been seeing anything inside the house. I looked at everything from the inside. It's all sealed off, so I'm pretty sure that what's going on is it's basically between this, the actual framing of the window and then the broken window part of it itself. So before these guys get a little bit too irritated, actually, there's no hole. Look at that. All right, if you want to take a look at this corner right here, been in and out, and every time one of these guys is going out, they are going through this dust. What I'm seeing is a lot of these guys are going back into the nest. So what's happening is they're crawling through this dust, and there's a couple of them that are pretty much turning white, and I'm watching those white ones go back inside to the nest, and they're starting to just leave little traces of that powder in the nest itself, and they're trying to clean each other right now. So there's already some form of insecticide in there now. I want to make sure that I get all these little cracks just to be on the safe side. There's a lot of them that are crawling around here now, really trying to clean themselves, and I can see that it's already starting to do what it needs to do. They're ingesting it, it's cutting them open. It's starting to definitely do what it needs to do. So this is definitely not going to go away overnight, but it'll at least start getting that job done. So, yeah, there's just a bunch of them in there. This is actually kind of cool. It's like a 3D drawing of, like an X-ray vision drawing of what it looks like inside the nest. So I don't know if you could see it as well. So you see all these little guys running around. They're freaking out. There's a bunch of dust already in there, and like this one, for example, he's got the white just all over him. In this corner here, they're sucking that stuff up, and it's going to start doing what it needs to do. What I can do too is on the outside of this now, just to kind of slow the activity down a little bit even more, is I want to go through and just do a light spot treatment. What really just takes one of these guys to get to the queen. They touch each other, that little bit of insecticide gets on the queen, and that nest will start slowing down. And even just out here now, I don't know how good it's on camera, there's a lot of white ones flying around, like this guy right there. And that's what we want, is because every time they touch each other, all they're doing is passing the stuff back and forth. So if you look at this corner, you can just see where that's where they've been going in and out, and there's a ton of dust right there. They're crawling through that. Now, before we continue out here, I would like to check the inside to make sure that nothing got in. Okay, so we're inside the basement. Here you can see directly just roughly the gap of where it's coming in, or how much of a size of a nest that is. And there's absolutely no sort of dusting residual at all. Nothing's coming through on either side, so I wasn't too worried about anything. You definitely can see the size of this beast. Not seeing any actual activity in that part of it. You can see my shadow, yeah. But mostly on the outside, so I think everything's nice and protected at this point. What I want to do down here is, just to be on the safe side, is I want to put a little bit of a liquid residual down rough, just around this the window framing itself, to be on the safe side in case anything does find its way through. I think I want to hit the top of the sill plate, at least the top of the framing, that bottom plate up there, just to be on the safe side. And then we'll go back outside and start seeing how it's going. You can see how they're already starting to slow down just because of that, just a little bit of dust. Like that guy right there, he's just going nuts. He's trying to really get that dust off of him. They're rolling around in it. It's doing what they need to do. On the inside of the nest, you can definitely start to see a couple of them crawling around. There's a lot less movement actually on the inside now than anything else. So to be on the safe side, I'd rather hit a little bit on the outside here now. Anytime that something touches down now on this liquid, they're going to get a little bit of that on them, and they're not going to really realize it's killing them. It's more of a non-repellent than anything else, which is great because that's all we need is one of them to get to wherever the dominant female is, or the queen, and they go from there. We want to come back in roughly about a week. I want to give some time for this chemical to do its job. It's not going to be an overnight fix. There's going to be some activity happening for at least the next 24 to 48 hours, but things are going to slow down drastically. I'm already starting to see a lot of things die off. So I think the problem's going to go away, but I think just to add it, be on the safe side, I want to come back and remove this nest in about a week. So we'll come out and do that at that point too. Morning. It's been a week later. We took a look at the nest. There's absolutely nothing moving. I think I see one or two stragglers. The goal today is I want to remove this window piece right here and completely remove the nest. I don't know if you're zoomed in or not, but in here you could see how they tunneled through and left behind the alpine dust that I had put in last week. Yeah, there's one moving right there. I can see him. So let's see what happens. One or two tiny little stragglers yet. Wow. Well, all I'm doing is doing a light spot treatment of the nest itself, just because I am seeing a couple moving around. So this is the removed nest. There was maybe half a dozen live ones. You can really see on here how the nest was shaped along the window. So this was actually inside between the two storm windows then. And it's actually really just kind of cool how they build everything. Here you can see everything. There's a couple of larvae still moving around, but they are, come here. So all of this is actually in these little holes here. And all the black pieces you can see are starting to be the underdeveloped ones. So you can see this one's still just barely moving right there. So we'll grab a garbage can and split this up just to make sure there's no more anything drastic, and problem solved.